The Iron Bowl is this Saturday. We don't know what the weather's going to be like. Heck, we don't even know who's going to be coaching Auburn.
Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back into Locked On Bama. Luke Robinson, that's me. Jimmy Stein, that's him. Jimmy, how are you today?
Good. A lot not crazy about this weather forecast that we're going to discuss. James Spann is letting me down. You guys be as mad at Bill O'Brien as you want to be. I'm upset with James Spann.
That is so old man of you. Old man yells at cloud. So I'm checking out the weather right now as we talk because that's what good podcasters do is no research whatsoever, and they just look it up as their co-host brings it up. Saturday is
the news.
80% chance of rain. This is horrible news. Horrible. First of all, Jimmy, I've always had this thing, there's always been this talk of Auburn Jesus. You know about Auburn Jesus because Jordan Hare Stadium is built on an Indian burial ground, which is on top of the spaceships that were buried under the ground in War of the Worlds, which is fertilized by the ground bones of unicorns and leprechauns. It's somehow all the steel was melted down from horseshoes that all were on Secretariat at some point. I don't know, but the place
sounds like you do know.
I do know. The place is it's the luckiest place on earth. It's different, and I'll tell you this: every time there's ever been an Iron Bowl there. Now, maybe somebody can refute this. I'm trying my best to remember a time when this would not be true. I mean, I remember 2013, 2011, even though we won that one, 1989. Name one. I don't remember a time when the weather was bad for the Iron Bowl in Jordan Hare. I don't remember a time when the weather was good for the Iron Bowl in Bryant-Denny. Even when we kicked their butt in 2008, we beat them 36-0, and the weather sucked. In 2012, I mean, it was really cold and it was just sort of damp and dank, and the grass looked like it was dying on the field. Now, Auburn was dead too, and we beat the crap out of them. But I'm like, where's the sunshine? We just
2000 was even worse. Remember 2000?
I didn't even bring up 2000 because that's the worst weather day in football history for anybody.
It was sleeting. It was so bad. And it's not Bryant-Denny at all. But I believe, isn't it true? I was just a scant 15 years old. The Van Tiffen kick game, I think it was horrible weather, as in tornado warnings.
No. That wasn't Van Tiffen kick. That was Ricky Moore, Walter Lewis,
83?
Not 84, 83, I think.
83? Okay. I just knew it was somewhere in there. There was tornado warnings going on. Today, they would never even play the game. Everybody would just be in the locker room for 6 hours.
Yeah, that was bad. And it was played on the concrete padding that was disguised as AstroTurf at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But yeah, so it's going to rain probably, it's bad on a level for fans because I have 4 children that all want to go to the game. I've tried to tell them that, hey, look, Daddy Luke has been to a lot of these, and they're not fun for Alabama people just about ever. The only one I've really had just like a blast at was 1999 when we went to Auburn and beat them in Jordan Hare, and Sean Alexander ran all over them. I mean, even 2012 at halftime is 42-0, and my brother's like, man, we're just kicking their ass. And I'm thinking, dude, that's Auburn. They may come back. He's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I'm an abused pet. I mean, I'm like, okay, don't slam the door too hard. I'm scared of everything.
Let's not sit together at the game Saturday.
Well, anyway,
I'm just a little more positive. I'm just a little more positive, but no, I do think the rain. This is the way I'm always about bad weather games, and you know, just because 80% chance of rain doesn't mean it's going to be sloppy and driving sideways rain. We don't know that, but I just always say this about the rain. Period. I think bad weather is an equalizer. I think if the field is slippery, it no longer matters who has the best players. It's who doesn't randomly slip at a bad time. I think bad weather is good for underdogs. I've said that.
I think it's very good for them. Yeah, because I don't know that they're necessarily the better running team than us. I mean, I really don't believe that. I believe they run more than we do. I don't know that they're better. They just have to run more because they're so bad at passing generally.
They're committed to it. No,
yeah, they're more committed to it, especially under Cadillac.
We don't run enough. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, our fans complain that we don't have a consistent run game. I don't think we run the ball enough.
We don't. There's no doubt about that. Mm-hmm. But anyway, what it does is negates some of Bryce Young. It makes the ball a little heavier, which I don't know if that's going to have an effect on him and the way he throws it with his bum shoulder right now. And everybody can say, well, he's been playing, he's healthy. Look, his shoulder's still messed up. We all know this. He's going to have surgery on that thing. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, I won't be surprised. I'll say I won't be surprised if he has surgery. And for people like, oh, he's playing, he's fine. No, you're not. There's especially at that position, especially with his right arm. It's not like his ankle is bothering him. It's his arm. And I think it affects his ability to grip the football, which could be a real problem in rain. It affects your ability to throw with max velocity or throw it as far as you could. Hey, whenever you're about to do something that hurts, you wince. You don't it's tough. It's mentally tough to like, hey, I'm about to punch a wall. When your knuckles hit the wall, it's gonna hurt. And that's sort of what you're asking a quarterback with a bad shoulder to do every time he throws a ball. It's gonna, ow, So it is, if it's true, it's having a huge effect, and I think it explains a lot of the second half of the season. I mean, he ran the ball in September. He doesn't run it now. We're not throwing the ball deep, really hardly ever. And when he tried to throw it deep to Burton on Saturday, it was short and it fluttered. When's the last time we saw Bryce throw a deep out? You did see that last year, some. Or even an intermediate out. The numbers that takes a lot of velocity. Seems like whenever he's throwing outside the numbers, it's those lofted fades.
The touchdown to Jermaine Burton in the corner of the end zone, it felt like that thing took forever, and Jermaine sort of had to come back for it, even though he was still in the end zone. And I know that was more of a sort of a crossing route versus a true down and out or anything. But and again, I'm not janking on Bryce Young. I think he's the best player in Alabama history. I love the guy. I want his jersey. Signed. I want it framed. I want all those things. But at the same time, it's what I'm saying in relationship to this game, his shoulder's kind of bum, and I don't want him playing with I don't care if it's a light rain. I don't care if it's, a stinging rain, a rain that seems to come up from the ground, to quote Forrest Gump. I don't care what kind of rain it is. I just want it not to rain. And plus, if I end up going to the game and I can't, for some reason, finagle some box seats, which I'm usually kind of good at. I've got some – look, I've always said I would love to be rich. I'm not. So I really think it's more important to have rich friends. And it's like I don't want a boat. I want friends with a boat. I don't want to drive it. I don't want the responsibility. I just want to be on the boat, and then I want to be able to get off when I can get off and not have to repair it or clean it or get the barnacles or whatever. So
boy, you don't own a boat.
That's why I don't own a boat or a box. But anyway, yeah. So if I have to sit out in the elements for all this thing, I'm not liking that. I'm not liking that one iota.
I'm sitting in the elements, but when it's a huge game, it doesn't bother me. Frankly, when Alabama's like top ranked and was a top 10 team, we're playing a good team and it rains a little bit. I mean, I don't, to be honest, I'm so into the game, I hardly even notice. People before have said, "Guy, you're getting wet." I'm like, "Is it raining?" I mean, I'm just into the game, but not that I'm not into the game, But as we all know, I mean, the various motivations aren't really there. To me, Saturday is sort of an emotional thing. It's senior day. It's probably the last time we see Will and Bryce and that group play. And Alabama's a 21-point favorite, and I don't believe they'll cover. I mean, my pick is going to be Auburn to cover, Alabama to win. I don't think this is going to be a classic type game, or I certainly hope not. So with rain and that scenario is just sort of more depressing. If it had rained early this season at a game we're like really fired up about, like let's say Texas A&M or something, I probably wouldn't have even noticed.
Was it? I think it was 20 when you remember pretty famously a guy came down to Bryant-Denny Stadium and used his helicopter to help dry the field.
Was that?
You remember that?
It might have been before. No, it was. It
maybe
was
been 18. 20, maybe 18.
Might have been 18 because 20 was the COVID game.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So it probably was like 18, and I remember the video, and because I'd never seen that before, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and well, he's a buddy of mine. He's a super guy.
The helicopter pilot?
Huh?
The helicopter pilot?
Helicopter guy, not the pilot. He owns the helicopter, but yeah, he's the pilot too. He can fly a helicopter. But he's a dude, and he's a big Alabama guy, super guy. Owns a big company there. I mean, a lot of people probably know who I'm talking about, but just one of the nicest guys in the world. And so I was thinking, man, and we may have to call on him to get the propellers revved up or whatever you do to propel us to get the helicopter ready. Jimmy, I need to go ahead and tell everybody about LinkedIn now. I just got to do it. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have the access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. It's so easy to use. I'm sure they use it at Locked On, frankly, but we use it here at Robinson Iron. And all you got to do is add your job to LinkedIn with the hashtag hiring framed to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and who you'd like to hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to and helps you do it faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. It's funny when I do the, LinkedIn. Wait a minute. What is let me look at the link again. Sorry. I got to look at the link. When I say linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, I was saying /. And one of the comments in the YouTube thing recently was like, it's /, you moron. And I'm supposed to listen to what you have to say about football.
I would have said /. To me, that's a /. But, I guess they can point.
I was like, wow, that is super aggressive.
That
is a guy who really, really is into his slashes. Anywho, Jimmy, I think we would be crazy if we didn't talk about all the drama involving Juice, the dog's mama or daddy, and Lane Kiffin. For those who know, Lane Kiffin has a dog named Juice that's on Twitter, and it's pretty fun to follow. But apparently a news reporter or former something who does have some credibility, he tweeted out that Lane Kiffin plans to step away from Ole Miss and take the Auburn job, even though the job hadn't officially been offered yet, and do all this on Friday. Lane Kiffin, then that got Auburn fans in all frothed up.
Lane's a popular hire there, right? I mean, you're close to Auburn. You're closer to. I mean, my read. Lane is a very popular hire. Is that correct?
Yes, I think so. I think that, in fact, I was doing a radio show last Wednesday. I think I mentioned this on the podcast, and the radio host actually said to me and laughed at me for vehemently disagreeing. He said he would rather he's an Alabama guy, and he said, I would rather have Lane Kiffin start at Alabama next year than have Nick Saban for however much longer Nick Saban's going to coach. And I said, that is one of the worst takes I think I've ever heard. I mean, I can't imagine somebody saying that with a straight face. I mean,
I disagree.
But
is there such a? I don't even know the difference between a / and a /. But can I say 1 million %?
I think 1,000,000% with
1 million
slash another billion%. But anyway,
okay.
Yes, it would be a popular hire. So Lane then countered that guy and said, hey, this is news to me, John, or whatever his name was, John Sokolov. And then Lane also did, it's like he did it on his own printer. He had a piece of paper like with no header, and it was like breaking news, John Sokolov is leaving whatever station he's with and moving to this other station. I have no sources and there's no contract, but yeah, I think that's happening. And that was pretty funny. And what has dawned on me, and what I think has dawned on some Auburn people, and I think some Auburn people like this, I think some other people are a little leery of it. Lane ain't going to quit laning. Lane is going to lane until the end of lane time.
Now he's laning on a bigger stage. If he goes to Auburn, it's an even bigger stage. He's always going to be exactly who he is. And I mean that as both a compliment and a question mark.
And that's what's going to be interesting, because while I think younger generations, and you and I both are getting further and further away from a younger generation daily, hourly, minutely.
I'm yelling at clouds.
We're doing that. But younger generations, I think, appreciate Lane Kiffin's candor and sense of humor and fun and social media prowess. They appreciate all that. The problem is that stuff always comes to bite you in the butt at some point. It always does. You can't be on Twitter all the time and always have opinions and always say something and not have somebody come back when you were big and popular enough and go, hey, remember when you said this? And then all of a sudden it's cancel culture eating you alive. I don't know that that's going to happen to Lane Kiffin. I don't know. I feel like it might. I've seen some other Ole Miss fans who I have no idea if they have any credibility, but they're already tweeting out things like, well, if he does leave, I can't wait to spill the beans on some of the things he's done around here. You and I know some folks that have said, hey, we know some folks at Ole Miss who might not be scared to open their ledgers on what Lane Kiffin has done around Ole Miss. We can all guess what Lane Kiffin's done. We all joke about it. I mean, he's a playboy. I mean, and so more power to him. I don't know that there's necessarily anything wrong with it, but I think it will be counter to the Auburn narrative of, the creed and stuff like that. It's just going to, what I'm saying is it's going to be interesting. I think Lane Kiffin is probably, I mean this all sincerity, the best hire Auburn can make, because they can't get Kirby. They can't get Saban. They can't get Day. They can't get a lot of those guys. And I think Lane Kiffin's probably the best hire they can make. It doesn't mean he's a home run hire. It means he's probably the best hire they can make. And as an Alabama fan, I'm like, man, I hate this for a couple of reasons, because I like Lane Kiffin now. I've come not full circle, I guess half circle, because I didn't like him to begin with. Now I like him. If I went full circle, I guess I wouldn't hate him. I'd hate him again. But I like him now. He's funny. But he's funny at Ole Miss. If he's at Auburn, I think he's gonna pose some problems. He's not gonna he's not gonna be like the hardest recruiter ever. That's not his bag. He's gonna probably work the transfer portal as well as anybody, but he's not gonna be the best recruiter. And he's gonna have some really cool offensive moments. But I think he's also going to have some Ole Miss Arkansas this past weekend moments. Some Ole Miss at LSU lose 40-7 or whatever, 40-17 or whatever it was moments. He's going to have some of those things. And in the end, is he going to be a guy that I think will win national championships? I don't know, Jimmy. I'm not sure I believe that.
Well, there's no real evidence that he would. I mean, he certainly hasn't. He didn't win one with the Raiders. He didn't win one at Tennessee. He didn't win one at Southern Cal. He hasn't won one at Ole Miss. Did he win his conference at Florida Atlantic? I don't remember. Does that count? And I guess he might have won his – and I'm talking about just winning the conference or winning the division, or, the most impressive thing he's done at Ole Miss is he went 10-2 at Ole Miss, and that's not something that's been done. And yes, that's impressive. Yes, he also had a really good quarterback. He didn't beat Alabama, who was the best team in that division. And frankly, that game was not even close. 0-3 against Pete Golding. And there's so many Alabama fans that call Lane Kiffin a genius and Pete Golding the opposite of a genius. And Golding beat him 3 times. I'm just saying, I think Lane is a great offensive coach. He is a great play caller. He's a great quarterback coach. He's great on Twitter. He's great with the media. He's a fun interview. It's hard not to likely, but it all gets back to this. Do I want him as the head football coach of my team? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And that's my opinion. A lot of people that are fans of this podcast disagree with that. And hey, we'll just agree to disagree. Let's see what happens at Auburn. I do think he was going to win a lot of games. I think Auburn's going to have 10-win seasons with Lane Kiffin. Should he be there for several seasons, I think there will be 10-win seasons. I think he will beat Alabama at Auburn. That is going to happen at some point. I do not believe he will win the West. I do not believe he'll appear in the SEC championship game. He could, with a 10-win season, make a 12-team playoff. That could happen because last year's Ole Miss team probably would have been in a 12-team playoff. But and he'll recruit a quarterback. So he'll improve Auburn. I get Auburn being excited about this. He'll improve Auburn. I do not believe he will win an SEC or national championship at Auburn.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I think you're right about the getting in the playoffs potentially, because I mean there'll be a lot more opportunity for it. I think that's where
Alabama fans think our team stinks. Alabama fans think this team stinks, and we'd be in a 12-team playoff. The only real question that I have is these same fans, or I guess we'd be in the playoff and they'd be rooting against us, mad that we made the playoff. Like, oh, this team, it's embarrassing that this team's in the playoffs. They should cancel the play. I hope Clemson beats us today because we shouldn't be in this thing.
I don't want to be in a playoff that would have me as a playoff member.
That's exactly.
That's what it sort of reminds me. I mean, apropos of nothing, but a friend of mine and I were talking, and two other sort of ancillary friends of mine are dating, and they both have sort of similar life experiences, both a little older, been married before. They both sort of not in great spaces, but not in terrible spaces. They come from good stock, so they're fine. But anyway, they were dating, and they may still be dating. I'm not sure. And my friend said, I started thinking about it. He said, this is one of those rare circumstances where I think they both can do better. That's a great line to me. Anyway, all right. I need to tell everybody about BetOnline because that's next up on my reading. And as soon as I get here, I'm going to tell you about it. Look, I love BetOnline. I went there last night. Took some Monday night football action with them San Francisco 49ers and kicked butt. BetOnline.net is your number one source for your sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer to esports, whatever it is, they got it all covered. They got MMA. They got everything at BetOnline.net. And if you love sports podcasts like this one, you will find those at BetOnline.net as well. We're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix in. And isn't that what you want? You want speed, ease, accuracy, all that stuff. Head to the website today. That's betonline.net, or use your mobile device, your phone in your pocket, to learn more. Or if you are still one of those guys and you clip it to like a little clip on your belt, so be it. But if you are doing that, don't go to betonline.net. We don't want nerds. BetOnline is where the game starts. All right, Jimmy, we'll make this a short segment, but because this will probably be the last time we really talk about this. I may do like a Locked On Now after the game Thanksgiving night between Alabama and Michigan State basketball. But I think we got to pay a little homage to Alabama basketball because they are 4-0. Unbelievably, they've not moved up in the rankings. They're still number 18. Michigan State went from unranked to number 12. I don't hate that. I don't hate it because I think they played a good schedule and they blew like the number 12 team in the country. And they beat Kentucky and whatever. But I'm like, if people are watching this Alabama team, they sure look better than the number 18 team in the country. Again, I'm not mad about it. We're a couple of weeks in. It's not a big deal. And if we go out to Portland and we go 0-3, well, then I'm wrong. I mean, we don't deserve to be number 18, but for the other reason. Well, I don't think we will go 0-3. I think we got a good shot as just about any team in there to win it. If Brandon Miller keeps playing the way he's been playing and some of these other guys like Noah Clowney. So I'm very excited about this. Can I stay up till 9:30 on Thanksgiving night after eating Thanksgiving meals. I don't eat turkey. I hate deli meats. That is very famously known. I don't like any deli meats. No ham, no cold cuts, no turkey, none of that crap. So when I've always said, hey, look, if I was one of the pilgrims, I'd be like, hey, can somebody pass the fried shrimp or something? I mean, I would love fried shrimp on Thanksgiving. I think that works good. They came over on an ocean. They had to pass by a bunch of shrimp, right?
They probably caught some shrimp on the way over on little tiny fishing rods.
It's really hard to beat that logic too. But so no tryptophan
for bait to catch shrimp, because normally shrimp is like a good bait, but there's no way you'd use shrimp to catch shrimp, right? That sounds mean. Probably just bread. Just put bread on it.
That's one of my favorite things to do at Lake Martin. Just crumble up some bread, throw it on the water, and watch the shrimp come up and get it. Right here at Lake Martin, Alabama. Anyway, so this basketball team deserves some love. They have been playing very well. Not only have they been playing well, not only are they 4-0, and here's what's crucial to me, they're entertaining. They're fun to watch. It was really hard to watch outside of, the Houston game was fun. The Baylor game was fun. Gonzaga was pretty fun. Gonzaga was kind of reminiscent to me of when we beat Stanford in the NCAA tournament with Chuck D and all those guys. But
JD played well against Gonzaga. That was fun to me. That was JD's best.
He did.
His career. Probably in retrospect, the best game of his career at Alabama.
But, other than that, last year's team just wasn't that entertaining. It just, every time I watched it, it was almost like I was obligated by law to watch it. And then, I couldn't even watch highlights very much because there weren't many of them. I mean, even if we won.
I don't mean it as a damning thing to say, but I really think there's a real comparison between this year's football team and last year's basketball team, because there's a lot of talent that was on the floor and there's a lot of talent that's on the field at Alabama, but it's like the individual parts are worth more than the sum. If you broke down that basketball team last year, I mean, this guy's a good player, this guy's a good player, this guy's a good player. You put them all in a team and you're like, this isn't a great team. And it sort of feels like them with this year's football team, the individual parts. I mean, we know so many of these guys are really good football players. You put them all together and it's like, they're good, but they're not great. They should be better than this. And it leads fans to question the chemistry. And that's the word I'm choosing to use. But I think last year's basketball team had a very poor chemistry. And this year's football team, I wouldn't go so far as to say very poor, but they certainly don't play as well as a team as they should, individual parts that make up the team.
Yeah, and but this team, again, they just play. They're fun, man. They're fun. Brandon Miller's fun. Noah Clowney's fun.
We'll know more this weekend. We'll know more this weekend. I mean, in terms of you are playing some elite talent starting Thursday. Some elite talent. And hey, Alabama fans, if they do lose once or twice out there, as long as they're competitive games, that's a good thing. I mean, it literally tells you, what do we need to work on? What parts of the team need to improve so when we play elite teams later in the season, we're more ready. So yeah. I think it's fantastic we're playing in these games. And while I'm optimistic that they may do really well, because I'm like you, I suspect that this team is very good. Hey, even if they don't, as long as they just don't go out there and just lay down and lose by 30, and that would be a real surprise. But I'm just saying, I think these games are to either notch huge wins and vault up these rankings, or you have close losses, but it lets you know, hey, this is the specific part of our game that we need to work on to get better.
All right, buddy, that's going to do it for today's pod. We'll be back tomorrow, I think. I think we will. We'll see.
I'll be around.
We should be here. Anyway, we'll be back. I hope you will be. Want to shout out to the Auburn fan who listened, because Zach Blackerby, who is a great American, said something about our podcast. And so he's like, I'm going to give Locked On Bama a try. And he commented, hey, man, I love the show. You got a subscriber. Shout out to you, bro. I appreciate you. Anywho, roll tide, everybody, and we will talk tomorrow.
Roll tide, except to the one Auburn fan. Thank you. Thank you to him.